Hey, viewers, Brian JT Watts here for another episode of Come Together. Today, I will be talking to a young man who I just got a lot of respect for, Jonathan Thomas. So, right after the intro, I will be interviewing Jonathan Thomas. Stay with us, and I will see you in a minute.
This is the greatest game of telephone that has ever been played. Someone said the black man doesn't raise his kids or care for his family, and that message is still being told to everyone today. They even have us saying,
We are not a monolith. We have various opinions and thoughts. We are much more than what we are portrayed to be by the media.
even when we are the victims of injustice, we are still portrayed as the perpetrators. When it comes to the black man, there is an intentional plan to discredit the past, arrest the present, and destroy the future.
Something must be done, but nothing will work until we come together. Welcome, viewers. As promised, we're talking to Jonathan Thomas today. Jonathan, how's it going?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Viewers, yeah, of course, you would not know this. Jonathan is somebody I've known. Well, I've known about him all.
About.
It feels crazy to be having man conversations with somebody who I remember when they were born. But I mean, he is definitely of age now. And Jonathan, why don't you tell the viewers what it is that you do right now?
Yeah, so right now I'm a nurse. I do managed care. So I basically essentially retired from patient care.
Cool.
So now I work remotely and I love it.
Wow, I've been hearing that a lot from nurses. I talked to somebody the other day who said they work remotely as well, and they're just loving it. It's a great job. How did the nursing thing work for you as the pandemic started? Were you in the trenches during that time, or were
Yeah, so I had worked. I was still working where I work now, managed. So essentially like well care, right? And then a couple of my friends were like, listen, they need nurses and they're paying crazy. I was like, let me go see what's cooking over there. And sure
wow,
enough, man, I mean, a lot of people suffered during the pandemic. I saw a lot of death there,
wow.
but I was able to pay off all my debt. So
You know, it seemed like the first time in the history since I've been around that nurses were getting paid what they were worth. You know,
bro,
I know a
cool.
lot of. I know for some reason I know a lot of nurses. I don't know why, but it seemed like almost every other person I knew was a nurse, and it was one of two things: either they were like, "This COVID thing is too scary. I'm not going to do this," or they were taking jobs that took them all over the country, and people were offering prices. I mean, salaries that were unreal, and so
Yeah,
they.
it was crazy. I think some places were paying up to like 150 an hour.
Right, and I was definitely wishing I was a nurse then. Believe me,
Yeah,
I was like,
you
"What?"
know what though? Like a lot of people like during that time, they were overworked because
Right,
so many nurses, were getting sick.
right,
So it was a tough time. It was really, really a tough time just to see, some of the residents and the patients that,
right,
passing away. Some that were like 102, been lived through everything, but
right.
their bodies couldn't take this. So it was
That's
tough.
right. That's right. I lost an aunt. She was 99. She was
Mm,
born. She was born at the end of the last pandemic.
wow, that's
That's
crazy.
after this one, yeah, she was born in 1921. So I was like, wow, she went from pandemic to pandemic, and it's a lot. We did lose a lot. Definitely um, had a lot more death than I had ever heard of, other than maybe a war. You know,
Hmm.
it was constant and consistent, and it was weird to see that there were still people who didn't believe that something was going on while all this was going on. So,
Right, right,
um,
right,
shout out to you and all the other nurses and all the other medical personnel who helped out during that time and who did their jobs and who really, I mean, worked overtime, did everything. I talked to a lot of people who were just working constantly, and they, like you said, they're burnt out, tired, making it easier for them to get sick because of, their fatigue and things of that nature. But y'all really did it. And the pandemic's not over, but even though a lot of us act like it is, but I think that it's the worst part. I'm hoping that the worst part is over. Did you ever end up getting sick at all?
Nah. My mother swears I got. My mother swears I got sick. I'm like, I never. She was like, "You had something wrong with your eye," and I'm like, "Yeah, but that wasn't COVID."
Right, right, right. Well, I mean, that's what moms do. So that's what
Yeah,
moms.
exactly. She's like, "Yeah, you." I'm like, "Listen, I didn't get that
That's
giant."
hilarious. Well, look, I definitely wanted to have you on the show once again to remind the viewers and to let you know our show is all about exposing positive Black males. I think that there's a lot going on in our society where we have these rumors and these things that we say that aren't necessarily true now. We have more Black men in jail than in college, and Black men don't take care of their kids, they're not good fathers, and all of these things that aren't really true. But the rhetoric has been spewed so much that it's not just people outside of our community saying it, we're saying it. And
Mhm.
when we
Yeah,
say
yeah,
it
yeah,
to
yeah.
ourselves, we basically make it true. And it's not. I hear pastors, and I even heard our president, um, Barack Obama, say things about, lack of fatherhood in the community and this, that, and the other. Now, I'm not going to say that there aren't fathers who aren't there, but they've had a study by the CDC, which is not a Black organization, that showed that Black fathers were in their child's lives more than
More than, yep, yep, yep,
right.
yep.
And so, I know growing up, and when I grew up in the church, I know people knew who my dad was. I knew who your dad was. Most of the guys who I grew up with, we knew their dads. And so
I'm telling you, like, what's crazy for me, like, it wasn't until high school that when people were like, "Oh yeah, I don't, my father's," and I'm like, "What?" Like, it didn't even make any. It really didn't make any sense to me.
right, the first time I heard that, it was crazy too. In fact, I remember going to college. In fact, when your brother and I first went as freshmen to Old Westbury, and the lady said to me, "Which one of your parents do you live with?" And I was like, "What?" It's
Yeah, that's mad feisty.
which one of your parents do you live with? And I was like, does it have to be a choice? And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, what do you mean? I live with my parents. And she was like, oh, you live with both of them? And she was in shock. And I was like, wow, okay, that's not a thing. And then like, no, that's not, and I could tell afterwards that it was the question that they asked most Black and Hispanic kids. It wasn't a question that they
Mm,
asked a lot of the white kids. And so I was like, okay. And I started to talk to people and realized, okay, some people's fathers aren't around, okay, that's cool. It's whatever it is. But now it's not an epidemic, it's not an epidemic proportions the way they make it seem. And from the report that I read, it said that even the percentage of fathers that are not in the home still care for their kids. And
mhm.
so I was very impressed with that, especially being from something like CDC, who can report however they want to. And,
Exactly.
it
Skewed
seems like
numbers if they want. No, trust me, I
exactly.
know.
So I mean, I really wanted to make sure that people understood that there are Black men out there who don't drink 40s and smoke weed and play video games all day, and we're just trifling
Present, present.
and do do some stuff that's positive, and you have already exposed that you're doing something positive. Being a nurse is is a job that I didn't really understand when I was young. um, when I was younger, I would watch television, and when I saw a nurse, usually it was a woman, of course, back then, but the doctor was the person who did everything, and the nurse was the person who assisted the doctor. Now, when I speak to my friends who are nurses, the nurse is doing everything.
Yep. And the
The
doctor
doctor
is like,
comes in to
yep.
perform maybe his specialty and then go out, but he has to question the nurse to find out what's going on.
Sometimes, like the doctors say some things, and you're like, "Wait, how long did you go to medical school?" Like, my man, like that dose is crazy. Like, but I mean, obviously, you gotta be a little discreet. Like, doc,
Right.
that ain't it.
Well,
That
I'm
ain't
gonna tell
it.
you, I just had a surgery last month,
Uh-huh.
and being in the hospital for those few days, I loved my nurse. Like
Oh, that's
she came in, and the couple nurses I had, they were great, and they knew what was going on. You know, I mean, they knew me. They'd say, "Mr. Watts, this, that, and the other," everything they do right on. When the doctor would come in, I would be like, I didn't even want to talk to the doctor, but I mean, I just asked the
yeah. I
nurse.
mean, yeah, you're just a name in the chart.
Right, exactly. But the nurse is the care person and and with a lot of knowledge. They didn't seem when we were young, it didn't seem like nurses had a lot of knowledge. It just seemed like they were there to give the doctor whatever he wanted. But
Mhm,
now,
mhm.
and I've had some male nurses and female nurses, and I really appreciate the whole profession now. I had no idea how much stuff it was. I did know when I was in college that nursing students, you never saw them. They were always off somewhere doing something or studying.
Mhm.
But I didn't know. I was like, why is it that hard? Are they trying to be doctors? But now I get it.
Let
So
me tell you,
definitely,
like if you have any, and this is to any like black young man, like I told him, like if you have any type of thing where you just want to help people,
right,
like really help people, two things I'll say is nursing and firefighters. Those are the two things that I will say because with nursing, you literally could work anywhere around the world,
right,
anywhere, and you're compensated very well. You can work any shifts. Like there's so many shifts. There's you know what I mean. So it's super super flexible. Also with nursing, like you can do peds. You can the specialty is endless. And then with the firefighters, it's just about like man, they're constantly ranked number one of people who love their jobs the most. So and
that's
they
true.
and they have the same amount of flexibility as well, if
Wow.
not
Well, see,
more.
that I feel bad that I can't say that about my profession. Now, one thing I can say about being a teacher, you can teach all around the world because I did teach in the Middle East for 2 years, and I could
Yeah,
have kept.
man. Shout out to you. That was amazing when I saw that. I was
Oh my
like,
goodness,
this dude.
it's amazing. And to all y'all out there who are teachers, just know it's very easy to apply. All you have to do is get on with a recruiter, find one, search for teaching across the country or around the world, and you can sign up. And they're looking for people constantly. There are people who are brand new teachers who are out there. There are people like myself who have been teaching for years who are out there. So it's a great thing, and it is a lot more lucrative when you're on the other side of the
I
world.
believe that. I believe
Yes,
that.
definitely, definitely. So whatever subject it is that you teach and whatever level, you can go out there and try it. Just try it. Travel is the best education to me that you can get. So speaking of that, I know I've been watching you on Facebook, getting into a lot of discussions. Um, it's sort of a thing of pride for me to see some of the younger guys having great conversation skills and actually saying things that prove that you thought some stuff out. Now, I know, like I said, I know your parents and I know your older brothers, and I know you come from, and I know, oh, man, I even know your grandfather, knew your grandfather, and just a bunch of people. So, everybody that spoke to me and your family that actually spoke about stuff seemed to be a deep thinker. Uh,
Hmm.
or at least they weren't speaking without thinking. You
Hmm.
know, they have opinions. The opinions might not have always been opinions that were mine, but good opinions and things. Your oldest brother and I, we go back and forth all the time with stuff. I think that's the reason he calls. It's like, okay, I think this. Let me see.
Well, he does this. He likes to play the devil's advocate
Oh, no
all the
question.
time. So
Question.
if
No
if
question.
if everybody's going this way, he's gonna find a reason to go the other way,
Exactly.
and then
Exactly.
and then he's gonna be like, "So this is why I believe this," and now you're just gonna get angry. He's not gonna
Well,
let you walk
it's
away.
become a
He's
thing with
not
us.
gonna let you walk away.
Yeah, we've been doing this since like 1987, and I think he takes it easier on me because he knows I'm not against him. But we do well. But I've seen a lot of topics that you've talked about, and I wanted to ask you about what do you think right now in our community? What are some? If I ask you the top three things that we could address that would help fix our community right now, and as the Black community in this country, what are the top three things you think could help pull us together so that we could, unite and become what we need to be?
Uh, first thing that comes to mind is accountability,
Okay.
right? I feel like a lot of the times we're not everybody obviously, but I'm just generally speaking, we tend to blame other people,
Okay.
right? And I feel like, there's certain things that you can't control,
Right.
and there are some things that you can control. I think a lot of people are a product of their environment, but every once in a while, there are people that are able to just push themselves past their limits. Um, Specifically for men, I think that there is a hardness that we have to continually show. So I would say like expressing ourselves better,
Right.
right? Like, and a lot of people don't like this word, but to me, it's like I see the power in being vulnerable,
Right. There you
right?
go.
Like, so there's certain things that you might be able to mask for a little bit, but
Right.
at some point, you have to just be who you are. You can't wear a mask forever.
That's true.
And I think it's just better communication, respect for one each other. It's
Okay.
like, just because me and you disagree on something doesn't mean that we automatically have to be enemies.
Right. That's big, and I think that's become very popular recently. I think that the Trump presidency or the Trump campaign before the presidency
Mhm.
really pushed that to its limit, because before that, I remember having discussions on Facebook with people and on other social media, and we would go back and forth, and we'd be good.
Really?
But I mean, for a little while, I mean, maybe there's some of my friends or whatever.
Oh, you're talking about with people you know. Okay.
Right, with people I
Yeah,
knew.
that's
But I
different.
mean, but when Donald Trump ran for president, and some people that I knew were like, "Yeah, he needs to be the president," and other people were like, "No." I think the problem was people felt like if you were on his side, you were saying the things that he was saying.
Hmm.
And I think that was a mix up for people, because truthfully, every presidential candidate has a bunch of issues that they have, that they speak on, a bunch of talking points. And I've never agreed with all of anybody's talking points, you know, but we choose who we think is best out of what we can possibly pick. And I think some people might have thought, okay, Donald Trump is better because of this, this, and this. They didn't believe in his racist rants and all of this stuff. But because it was the first time that we saw a president spewing that stuff that vehemently and being
And
as
openly.
honest and open about it, we
Hmm.
were like, if you like him, then you hate me.
Hmm.
And so that started that whole thing of, well, I disagree with you, and now we can't be friends no more, and we can't talk. And it started, and I think it kept on, regardless. People just kept it now for every argument. So if I say I like Beyonce and you say I don't, then it's like, okay, I hate you now. And
Yeah, I think that's trash. I think that like like nah, it's straight trash.
yeah,
Like, if just because we disagree doesn't mean that we need to be enemies, and we can disagree respectfully,
right,
right? You know what I mean? Like, we can disagree, like, just on social media, like, as you were saying, like, yeah, even in sports, like sports things, like, let's just give sports chats. Like, hey, I'm a Giants fan.
right.
You're a Bills fan. You know what I mean, right? You're still a Bills fan, right?
That
We're
is
just being
correct.
sure.
I felt very good that you knew what you're talking about. That's good. That's good. Yes, I am.
So, and I'm like, the Bills are trash,
Right,
right? All right. Or I'll be like, the Bills are not doing good this game. Oh, you're an idiot. Like, automatically, it's like, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, yo, my man's like, yo, you hear my energy?
right,
Like,
right,
you're up here and I'm here. Like,
right,
what's cooking?
right,
So, like, I'll check cats quick now. I'll be like, listen, I'll give you an opportunity to rephrase what you just said,
right,
because I
right,
might just take it a certain way.
right.
And that's all it needs to be.
Right. That's true. I mean, the thing is, the conversations should be a lot easier. I've seen people in bars and barber shops and all kind of places where guys meet, and discussions happen, and sometimes the emotions do get high, but these people walk away friends. You know, they walk away with, okay, well, that's my team. Like I'm going to be a Yankee fan until.
Mhm.
And down here in Maryland, when I wear my Yankee gear, and you know, I had on my Yankee hat today to match. You know, I mean,
Mhm.
when I wear my
That's right,
stuff,
gotta
I
represent.
had an old man just walk up to me and start yelling at me, and I was like, "What are you doing?" Oh, take off that Yankee stuff and this. And I was like, "Sir, they've won 27 World Series.
Mhm.
How
And you
many?"
know, a lot of the time it's not even hate. It just lets you know. He just wants to let you know that you know what I mean. Like he represents his team.
Well,
Who's
yeah,
that?
but I mean, he
Baltimore.
didn't have nothing on, so I was like, unless you have something on, like
Mhm.
if you have on an opposing team's thing, then we can banter because it's fun.
Baltimore
But
or
you know, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to Chicago. I mean, to Boston because then it's really a fight. So it's a problem.
yeah.
But I want to touch on the other thing you spoke about, which is vulnerability, which I think is very important. And I think that there's a lot of blame for why, especially our black men, are not vulnerable. One is our country has this macho aspect that a lot of other countries don't have. I'm not sure if I know there are other countries who do, but like when I was in the Middle East, it wasn't necessary to be this hard macho guy all the time. You know,
Mhm.
you didn't have to walk around frowning or walk around looking like you was gonna fight somebody or anything like that. And I don't even like the fact that people say, "Well, these guys are in touch with their feminine side." It's not to me. All these things are not gender specific. Having feelings is not gender specific. You
Correct.
know, you have feelings regardless. You know, you're male or female. It's that we're taught to hide them. And because of
Exactly.
the things that went on in slavery and how black men were being cast down and our mothers and sisters and aunts and anything wanted to save us, it was like, well, hold your feelings back. You know, don't
Yeah.
say too much.
And it's been weaponized, right? Like
Yes.
it's used against us. So like you said, anytime that you see some guy, just showing any type of emotion, you soft, cuz.
Right, right, right. And I mean,
You out here, why you out here crying?
that's a big problem. That's a big
Yeah.
problem. So you have women now who will say, I think a lot of women. Okay, so on social media, on everything, magazines, on television shows, talk shows, everything, you hear a lot of complaints that women have about men, and rightfully so in some stages, and in others maybe not so much so. But there are complaints that women have about men, and it's funny because we're taught not to talk about that stuff.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We're not if we're complaining about our woman, people are like, man up, man. Just go handle your business and this and the other. So it's made it seem now that the problem in relationships is men because men aren't talking about it, but
Hmm.
women are readily talking about it.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to explain to a lot of young women, which I've almost given up the fight, that these things that you're complaining about aren't just for your gender. So I hear women say stuff like, well, men cheat too much. And then I hear women say, comedians and all kind of people say, y'all men don't even know how to cheat. We cheat better than y'all. And so I'm like, well, how are you complaining about men cheating? And then you're telling me you do it better. You know,
Yeah.
it's
And this goes back to the accountability that I was speaking about, right?
exactly, exactly.
Accountability, right? It's like, okay, so and again, right? I'm speaking in general. I got to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure that
we
this
got
is very clear, right? Why is my man cheating? What are you doing? Right? Because this is how I always think of things. If there's a problem,
you.
right?
Mhm.
My mindset is how can I fix it, right?
Right.
Because I'm not worried about what the other person is doing, right? It's how can I fix it?
Okay.
What can I do to fix it, right? And if I feel like I've exhausted all of my options, I'm like, I've done everything I've done. I've listened, I've done all this stuff. All right, so now I know it's not me.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? Like now I know it's not me. So
I'm
I'm like,
not
okay,
influencing this problem. Right, right,
correct,
right.
correct. And I do a lot of self checking all the time. Like I overanalyze stuff. So
That
and I think
that's not a bad thing. That's
oh,
that's, that's a good
it has pros and cons. You
well,
can
no,
be
yeah, yeah, definitely. But because most people are not going to believe you that you've analyzed or that you're even able to self-analyze. A lot of people, especially if that's not something that they can do, don't believe that can happen. And you're a lot like me with that. I will think about something all night just to fix myself. Okay, where am I going wrong in here? And go back to old experiences and check myself and even ask questions. Did I do this? Did I not do that? It's almost like I feel like, I don't know if you remember this movie, but I think it was Superman 3 where Clark Kent and Superman got separated. That's how I feel sometimes when I'm asking those questions, like I'm talking to me. Like,
I mean, let me tell you, there's this thing called shadow work. Are you familiar with it?
Not at all. Break it down for me.
So essentially what it is, it's you. All right. Obviously there are certain things about ourselves that we might not like, right? So
Right.
for me, one of my things is like self-sabotage or procrastination.
Okay.
Shadow work is, let's just say I'm literally having a conversation with procrastination. I will, for all sakes, for Mr. Procrastination. And
Right.
we'll literally have a conversation. I'll be driving. It looks crazy, but it works, right? Like I'll literally having, so listen, my man, like I knew that you helped me growing up and you were perfect for me, but now like you're hurting me now.
Right.
And I need you to, like, let's have a conversation about why you keep coming up. And it's like you said, just going back and forth. And I'm telling you, how I'm explaining to you sounds crazy, but I promise you it's so refreshing to have that conversation with yourself.
Well, I'm gonna tell you two things. One, it doesn't sound that crazy to me. I don't know about the viewers. Y'all can hit me up and let me know what y'all think. But two, you've definitely made me feel less crazy about what I do talking to myself.
Oh yeah, no. Oh man, and listen,
It helps.
I'll look like somebody's in the chair. Like, look, my man, listen.
Right.
When that last situation happened, like, what was cooking with you?
Right.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, but see, this is the thing. I think that there are many things that we need to do with ourselves. And this is just my belief system, is that there's no reason why I shouldn't be in tune with me.
Hmm.
Okay. I should be able to know, like I have an Apple Watch, and sometimes my Apple Watch will say 2 minutes ago, your heart rate was increased by whatever. You had a high heart rate.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking, if I was really in tune with me, my watch wouldn't have to tell me that. I would know. I would
Correct.
feel it beating out of my chest. You know what I'm saying? I would feel these things. And so the only way I get close to people outside is by communication. So for me to get close to me, it's like sometimes I got to talk to me now. I do try to do it when I'm by myself or like driving is definitely a good time.
That's the best time, especially
my-
at nighttime. Like now, you drop the windows down, you get that air, and just have a
Yeah.
conversation with yourself, man.
Well, listen, I appreciate that. That's definitely good stuff. Viewers, I hope y'all are taking note on that. And I'm not asking y'all to go out and talk to yourself in front of everybody and everything, but definitely
Nah. Just
getting in touch with yourself is good, because truthfully, I think a lot of us, we don't know ourselves the way we should. And the connection, the mental, physical, and spiritual connection, if those tied into each other like they should, we should be able to understand what's going on in our body. And actually, I just talked in the last two shows, I talked to people we were talking about food, and I said, I think that at one point in early history, people were so in tune with their bodies that they ate exactly what their body needed because they were that in tune. They knew, oh, I need vitamin C, so let me go eat this orange, or let me, do whatever. And I think that that's how in tune. We're far, far away from that now. But I think that conversation is good. And I think that something else that seems to be getting big now is the whole idea of mental health in our community. Therapy, meditation, all of these things that people thought were evil or things that were not for us. And it seems like everything that will make you in tune with yourself is what somebody told us is bad. So we're not doing them. And, from a Christian perspective, a lot of people would say to me, well, the devil makes bad things look good. I mean, I'm sorry. He makes bad things look good, so you want to do them. And I said to somebody one day, well, don't you think he does the opposite as well? if there's a devil, that he makes good things look bad, so you don't do them. That's even worse. If
Mhm.
you give me something that's good for me, but you're telling me it's bad, so I don't do it. That meditation is wrong. If that's going to get me in tune with it's going to tie my mind to my body. So where would you stand on something like that? How do you feel about those types of things?
All right. So first, before I even go any further, I'll be remiss to not even mention, like, I facilitate a men's meeting,
Okay.
right? A men's support group, and bro, the stuff that we get into there is, man. It's like, man, you really and truly don't know where people are going through,
All right.
right? You really don't know, and everybody can have like I said, a mask on, and it's perfect until you really get to really speak to them.
No.
So getting back to what you were saying though, yeah, I think a lot of people are hide behind certain views, especially religious views, because even in the scriptures it talks about Daniel went to go pray 3 times a day.
Right.
I mean, prayer is a form of meditation.
Right.
And so it's really just about quieting your mind. Like I do it every morning. I quiet my mind, I take deep breaths, I try to just clear my thoughts, and just really just change the frequency, and try to vibrate as high as possible. And I think that, when you try to make it something that it's not,
Right.
then it becomes a problem. So I mean, obviously there's some certain, there are certain things where, with the yoga and all that stuff and all that, I get where, some people have issues with that. But I mean, when you're just talking about just sitting down and just listening to yourself breathe,
Right.
you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I think what I think happened is there are a lot of things, and we've all seen this. There are a lot of things that start out or are being invented to be good, and then somebody takes them and uses them for evil. And that
Mhm.
doesn't mean
Yep.
that that thing is bad. That means that the way this person is using it. Also, let's talk about the internet. When the internet was made, it was made so that people around the world could interact with each other. But almost as soon as the internet came out, a large percentage of it, which is still probably true, was pornography.
Hmm.
Does that mean the internet is evil? No,
No.
but somebody who wanted to put something out that many people might think has disdain is what they used it for. And so, meditation, yoga, things of that nature, all of that stuff, a lot of people see where people might have made it for you to, you know, do something that's less than positive with it, but there are positive aspects, and that's what it was for. So I think that we need to research some of these things so that we can find the benefits. Because if we're missing out, then that's a problem. And I can
Hmm.
tell you, we're definitely not in touch with ourselves as far as our mind and body and spirit. Everybody promotes that as this is total wellness, mind, body, and spirit, but they're not showing you how to connect them. And if we're not connecting them, then we're
Yeah, it's sad, man. It's actually sad.
yeah, very, very, very sad. And I mean, it's a lot. I think that that's what helps create the problem for us, especially in our community, where now we are listeners instead of leaders, because we believe whatever somebody tells us we're supposed to be. And I think that impacts us as men, especially because when somebody tells us we're supposed to be a certain way, then that's what we do. You know, we see other I've seen this in the media a lot. We see how other people are treating their women, their children, and everything, and then we rise up, and as we become famous or become known or start to get money, we want to do the same thing we see other cultures and stuff doing. Well, our culture has a certain way to it. Okay,
Hmm.
there's certain things that our lives were meant for, and that our bodies were built in a certain way to do. We're not supposed to be like everybody else. So I would never fight to be what a white man is in this country. I would never fight to be what some other man is in this country. I want to fight for the equal chance to be who I'm supposed to be.
Right, right, right.
And so to me, that's a problem. What do you see as being some of the things that are sort of put on us? I see the disrespect of our women. You know, I've seen on a lot of movies, and I've heard even old white actors. I was watching something about Sean Connery. He was talking to Barbara Walters, and he was talking about slapping women, and he was making it seem like she was like, "Are you serious?" And he said, "Well, I mean, you shouldn't just always slap a woman around, but if she deserves it, and she this that, and other." And I was like, "This is James Bond. Like this is for real." And she said,
Mhm.
"You're going to have some serious problems when this interview gets out." And Sean Connery never had any problems with that because people loved him until the day he died. But for us, I don't think that's something I want to take on. You know what I'm saying? I want to have a loving relationship with women. I don't want to be somebody's afraid that I'm going to hit, or I don't want to rise up. I see all kind of degradation with women in films and everything, and it seems like as soon as some of us get up to that level, we feel like, oh, that's something I can do too, not realizing you're still black. You know what I'm saying? In a white man's world, you can't do the things that they're
Right,
doing.
right, right,
You shouldn't even want to. It's not in
right,
your spirit.
right,
It's not
right,
in
right.
your makeup to want to do these things. But because you see that and you think that comes with the fame or whatever, then that's what happens. So, is there anything like that that you're seeing that's pushing us sort of back and keeping us away
Okay, so
from?
this like I said, accountability, right? So there are a lot of women, right? And most women don't like this stuff, but you know, and it's so like I'm trying to be as politically correct and respectful as possible, but like if you're walking down the street, right?
Mhm.
You know that men are visual creatures.
Right,
This is what we do. We're visual.
right,
Like, yes. So when we see certain type of outfits,
right.
right? You don't want a man to say anything to you. All right, cool. Right? You don't want a man to this. So now, all right, you pass whatever, and then it's like, oh, you don't see me here looking all fine and good. And it's like, yo, wait, what am I supposed to do?
You can't.
What am
Well,
I supposed
you
to
know
do?
what? I've had that discussion. Now, I have to admit, for a couple of years, I was on Facebook and I would talk to women in these different, not in a dating app, but on dating on pages. Like it would be a
Mhm,
singles group
mhm, mhm.
or
Singles and
something. And I would get in
yeah.
there and I would just have fun talking because a lot of times, a lot of them are a lot younger than I was. But I was trying to sort of educate some of these women who were like not realizing that they were fighting themselves on there. You know,
And that's I'm telling you, that's the biggest issue that I have with a lot of women is like women swear that they're doing stuff for us. And
right.
I'm like, you're not doing it for us. You're doing it for other women. I'm like, come on.
I cannot
Like
disagree with you.
I'm
I,
like, come
I
on,
have to
like
tell you that. That's true. I
seriously, like the way the lashes are going now, I'm like, what guy is gonna be like, nah, babe, you gotta have that longer, like that inch that you have, nah, I need an inch and a half. Like what? Like no man is saying this. Like
well, I mean, the first of all, our system of fashion, the fashion police, whoever they are here in the United States, have set a standard for what beauty is, and it's ever changing. And then there are usually two levels. There's high fashion and there's urban fashion. There's at least two levels. Let's put it
mhm.
that way.
And
Because-
sometimes they end up. Sometimes the urban fashion collabs with the
right,
with the
exactly,
high
exactly,
fashion.
exactly.
And
But
that's
the
and
thing
that's been
is,
happening a lot
oh
more.
no, definitely, definitely lately, as we become more popular in mainstream everything, that's definitely happening. But what I just said this yesterday to somebody was most of the things that women are told to wear or that are sold in the stores are not being sold by or made by men because that's what they want to see women in. Most women are getting their information from women.
Mhm.
And so, and I
Mhm.
can't say all because it's not true for all, but a lot of women are getting their information from women. So when I talk to women and they tell me how men are, I say, well, where are you getting this from? Well, my girlfriend told me, why are you talking to a girl?
Exactly.
Talk to a
That's
man
that's
about
that's
it.
that's the problem.
But that's the issue. So, but the other thing is, if we're taught to not express ourselves, then we're not able to tell anybody what's going on, and it starts a cycle. And I think this is one of the biggest reasons why we're having issues now is because they have us fighting each other so much now.
Oh, all the time. I mean, I feel like you're familiar with Kevin Samuels, of course,
Oh
right?
my goodness, yes, yes, yes.
So there's certain things that he said and I agreed with. And
Right,
there's certain things that he said that I'm like, nah, that ain't it.
right,
Like
right,
that, like nah, I don't agree. But then it was so crazy to like read, like there's like it was so venomous. Yeah, it was like I'm like, man, like if you read the comments, it's like this. So yeah, girl, da 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 da. How dare he say this? And then the guys are like, yeah, nah, that's how it's gonna be. And then it's just constant. So now we have literally probably what 15, 20 podcasts, basically all talking about the same thing, right?
right, right.
You know what I mean? And it's like everybody's just attacking everybody. And when it's all said and done, nobody knows what everybody wants now. That's
No,
the
no, not at all. And no, most people I found don't even know what they want.
correct.
So I will tell
And,
you,
but and that's one thing about Kevin Samuels that I really did love was that when he actually asked these women what they want,
right,
most of the time they didn't know what they want. They just said, "I just want a tall guy who makes six figures and blah blah." All right, so like if he's making six figures, then what are you gonna be doing?
right.
Oh, I'm
And
just gonna be staying home doing nothing.
then,
Can you cook?
nope.
So wait. So you want him to work, and then he's gonna come home and then do what?
Right,
Like, and
uh,
so now women were actually hearing themselves, or at
right.
least hearing other women talking. They're like, "Wow, we sound crazy."
Yeah, and I mean, some people actually got it. I think that intent has a lot to do with your message, and so I think that part of Kevin Samuel's downfall was that he took the shock value road, where he would talk so hard and so firm to some people that it was just demeaning. And
Mhm,
that's what got him the props. That's what made
mhm.
people want to watch, because that's why people watch Love and Hip Hop and Hollywood
Yeah,
Wives or
the
whatever,
drama.
you
Yeah,
know,
the drama.
for the drama. So that's what people wanted. They wanted all of that. I think if he had a different tone, it might have been a little more educational. I will tell you this: I had a conversation with a young lady, and she was very young. She was in her mid-20s, I think, at the time, and she said, "Well, I don't understand. I just want a man to know me." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She said, "I need him to stop asking all these questions and just know what I want and this and other." And I was like, "How is that supposed to happen?" So it was so intriguing. And this is when I was in Kuwait. And I have to tell you, when we worked in Kuwait, there's not a lot of stuff to do there. So sometimes you can get seriously bored. So me
Mhm.
being on this Facebook, I would be on there way longer than I was supposed to. And so I'm talking to this girl and I said, "Wait, so break this down to me." I said, "What do you do?" And she told me her job. I said, "What do you like? Tell me something you really like." She said, "Well, you know what? This might sound strange, but I like animals." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Not like regular, like dogs and cats. I like alligators and snakes and this and that." I said, "So are you the kind of woman who would like to go to a wildlife reserve?" She said, "Oh, I would love that." I said, "Okay, what about on a safari?" And she was like, "Yeah, yeah. So you know what I'm talking about?" And I said, "Okay, you're crazy." And
Mhm,
she's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "You like stuff that most people don't like. And you want a man to just know that?"
mhm,
The
mhm,
best thing he could do is ask you questions, because you're unique. And if you express this to him, then he could actually feed that need that you have to go these places. But he would never guess that. He's going to be taking you to botanical gardens and all these other things that you don't like because you refuse to tell him, but you just want him to know. That
mhm.
doesn't make sense. The best thing you can do is have a man who acts like he doesn't know and ask you questions. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so right." And I was like, it's amazing how many women were on these dating pages and were disrespecting men every day. And I said, aren't y'all on here to date men?" And like, yeah, like,
No, no, no. They're
who do
they're
you
they're
think
on
this
here
is?
to tell them. They're on here to tell us why they're single. Literally, like
Well, I mean, some of them swore to me, "Yeah, we still do want men." And I'm like, "Well, nobody wants to talk to you
no,
now. They see what
no.
you
I'm saying like
do." Yeah,
because of how they're talking, they're
right,
telling us why they're single.
exactly. And right, they're showing it to you like, "Oh, okay, skip you." So yeah, it's
Mhm.
it's a it's a big issue. I think that if we can all sit down somehow and have a decent conversation, I think
And that goes to the third thing I said: communication.
exactly. Then a lot of us would see what the issue is. And like you said earlier, when women start to hear what they're saying, and men too, there are men who are saying things that are crazy. if they start to hear it out loud, they're like, wait, that's counterproductive. You know what I'm saying? That's not helping.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is and I it depends on, it really goes with who you circle, but if you're in an echo chamber, like if I'm saying craziness and you're like, yeah, 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 and it's like three other dudes, and it's like, then yeah, then everybody's gonna be crazy. You know what I mean? But if somebody's, you know what I mean, like if you're talking to people who are obviously don't agree with what you're saying, then you know, then that's how you grow.
You start to hear that counterpoint. Yeah, you start to
Correct.
hear.
So now it's like,
All of it.
okay, so now let's so explain to me why you feel this way.
Right.
Nah,
That's
I
true.
just feel this way, and it's like, yeah, but explain to me, like, what's your reasoning?
Right.
And so now somebody's challenging you, and now you have to actually explain it.
Exactly.
And
And
so I
that's
feel like
yes.
if we can work on just simple, okay, explain, like, again, goes back to like not making sure that you're not disrespectful, right? So if I'm asking you a question, like, why would you ask me a dumb question like that, bro? I'm really just asking because I want to know.
Right. Right.
Like
Exactly.
you didn't tell me, like, so I need to know
Right. Right.
how else am I going to figure out what you're saying?
Right. Right. I mean, that's true. The art of communication has been lost. I think that a lot of times now people want you to speak as soon as they ask you a question, and I'm like, you don't want me to think about it? And they're like, what? What are you thinking about? The only question that you can probably ask me that I won't stop to think about is, what's your name? I know my name. But if you ask me something else, I might want to think about it. And you might want me to think about it. So I come out with the best answer. But now people are like, no, no, give me the answer. And like, I don't know. I wasn't thinking about this before. I didn't have this on my mind.
Right,
So
right,
when
right.
people pause, they act like now, oh, you must be slow or something. I'm not slow. I'm thinking. So, that art of communication is definitely lost. I think you're basically right. The three things that you have mentioned are big, big ideals. One of the things I want to do with this show is get out into the community and really be vocal and get around the country to talk to kids, to talk to adults, and really bring us together, because I think that the seeds have been planted for us to have the types of fights that will keep us apart. And this male female thing is definitely
Yeah, it's definitely one.
separated.
So I wanna bring up two things, right? Are you familiar with the four agreements?
The four agreements. Now, break that down for me.
Oh, well, I'm gonna send you some links. Let me tell you four agreements, right? There's one that the first one is be impeccable with your words, right?
Okay.
And that to me, like, if even if you just read just that one thing, right, and just understood that, like, essentially, your words have power.
Right.
You can literally change somebody's life with the words that you speak to them. So he says either you can give somebody, lift somebody up, give them power, or you can curse them, right?
Right.
Perfect example, right? You want to sing, and I say to you, bro, your voice is the worst I've ever heard, ever. Now,
You
you
Simon
might not,
Cowell.
right?
Yeah.
You might not even believe that, but because I said it and you started to believe it, you came to an agreement. Like, man, maybe he's right, and
Right.
now you might stop singing forever
True.
because I told you that you have the words. And now imagine the effect that a parent can have on a child saying that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's what it talks about. Be impeccable with your words. So when you were talking about, you know, I want to, I might want to think about what I say before I say it. I just don't want to say things. That's the first thing that came to my mind. So when you get a chance, the four agreements, I promise you,
Yes.
you'll be like.
Send me a link. I'll check it out. What's
And
the
then
other point? You
the
said you
second, the
had,
second thing is, so I ended up, because of the the men's group that I had, I ended up starting a nonprofit for men called Crown Kings, right?
okay.
And essentially, I was like, talking to men is cool. Like, we're we're in a safe place where guys can open up and talk. But then after hearing this stuff, I'm like, men need more resources, right? And obviously, dealing with legal issues or whatever the case may be, you might not know who to go to.
Right.
So now, what I want to do is I want to provide a place where men can get the resources that they need. If you're dealing with family issues, okay, these are 5 lawyers that we vetted and we believe in, and whatever the case may be. And if you use, you tell them you came from our program, you'll get a discount or whatever the case may be. Let me tell you, lawyers are expensive, bro.
No doubt.
Lawyers are expensive. And so, yeah, I realize like there's a need, man. There's such a need out there, and some question that I asked for you too. Like, when's the last time you actually celebrated yourself? Celebrated something you did?
Celebrate myself.
Yeah, something you
Well,
did.
well, I do it a little more often now because I've been in recovery, and
Hmm.
because I have the time, I've started to do that a lot more, and realizing that okay, this needs to last when I don't have time anything. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
When I'm back at work, when I'm going through, this needs to be
Right,
what I'm
right,
doing
right,
because
right.
I didn't realize that a lot of times you can end up being down. You don't have to be in deep depression, but you can be at a lower level without even noticing it. Just slide down into some type of, you know, depressed thought or whatever, just
Hmm.
because things might not be going exactly the
Yeah,
way you want.
a lower frequency. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So, I've started to just enjoy whatever it is, and every little thing that happens, I'm excited. Now, there was a time when I had lost all that excitement, but now I'm excited all the time. Sometimes I'll say stuff to my girlfriend, and she's like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "No, I'm excited about that." She's like, "That?" I was like, "Yes, that. I'm excited about that." And
Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
I'm up and down on that. Really inside, I'm not jumping up and down for real because I don't want to hurt myself. But I'm I'm really, I'm really excited about little things when they happen, and I want to celebrate them. And I have a birthday in late October, and it's not a milestone. It's not even a year that most people celebrate. But because I had this surgery and stuff, hey, look, I'm celebrating. You know what I'm saying? This is my time. I'm gonna get it in, and every little thing that happens for me that's positive, I try to celebrate. Not outrageous, but
No, it doesn't have to be big at all.
right. And so
It
that's
could
big.
it could just be you saying, "Good job, Brian.
Right, exactly,
I'm proud of you. Like, I'm proud of you. You
right.
did good."
That's right. And believe me, that's you would see that if something happens, if you were around you and it happens, you'd see me be like, yo, that was hot, B. B,
Yeah.
that was- so,
Well, I say that to say that, like, part of what I'm gonna do with the nonprofit is I want to do an annual men's celebration where men just come and just celebrate their wins for the year.
right. Oh, that's great.
And yeah, I'm putting it together right now. Like as soon as I get off this call, that's what I'm be doing, just working on
Oh,
that.
put me
And
on to host that, man. I would love to host something like that. That's great.
well, I have a host already, but you could definitely co-host it.
Oh, no doubt. Listen. That's what it's about. And if there's anything that we can do together, because it sounds like we have a lot of things in common with what we want to do for men, then let's get it in because that's what this is about, and that's why I want to bring people in to for people to see you and
To
people to
come together.
understand that we have positive brothers out here. So your crown king thing, is that something that any man can just get into?
Yeah, any man. Yeah. So
Okay.
to be fully transparent, I wanted it to at first I was going back and forth if I wanted it to just be, just black men.
Right.
And like I was like, nah, like there's so many men that are just going through like just stuff. Like they just don't have a safe place. So, it's open for everybody.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell the viewers, the guys out there, how they can get in touch with you and get into that?
So right now you can go to Crown Kings on IG. So right now I'm still waiting for New York City nonprofit thing. That joint is taking forever, man.
Yeah, that's
Takes forever. I'm like, yo, what's going on? So right now I'm still in the process of setting everything up, but it's coming soon and fast, and I'm super excited. Honestly, this is like one of the first things that I've ever done where it's not driven by money. You know
right.
what I mean? Like I'm normally like money driven, and this is the first thing where it's just like I just want to give, give,
Wow.
give, give, give. And what I've realized is as much as I give, it's been coming right back to me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, take it all, take it all, take it
Right,
all.
right. I feel you. In fact, I got to tell you, that's the most excited I've ever seen you. So, yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, viewers, definitely check out IG Crown Kings. Is it spelled the typical way?
With a K.
Okay, Crown Kings with a K.
KROWNED. Kings.
Okay. Oh, crowned. Okay, crowned.
Crown. Yeah.
Y'all check that out. Check that out. Well, Jonathan, listen, I thank you so much.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
This has been great, man. So listen, we'll definitely get back with you because I think we got a lot of stuff to talk about and put together. And viewers, we'll let you know next time I get with Jonathan and we got something going on. Maybe you'll see a Crowned King / come together event somewhere in your community, and we'll let you know what's going on. All right, young brother, I'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, salute.
All right, appreciate it. Viewers, thank you so much for being with us today. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Jonathan Thomas. And guys, I hope you got down with Crowned Kings on IG. Check it out. But also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and to like our channel and click that bell for the notification so that you know every time a new show comes out for Come Together. We usually come out on Mondays after 5 p.m., but sometimes it might be an additional week because of different events going on or different things. But definitely click that bell so you know when a new show is out and you can come check it out. But thank you so much again for being with us, and I hope to see you soon. All right, have a great one.